Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. Again, we just met 30 minutes, not 30 minutes, 20 minutes before, and we are back. And now I hope that everything is getting untangled and you're able to understand MXP, one step at a time. So we'll now start with the recruitment preparation, and let's see what it has. Okay. Mhm. Okay, before beginning, I'll just introduce myself and I will also let my uh, former team leader and now my co-FAST Caro also to introduce. So again, I am the MCVP team of FISIC in India for the next term. I am here as MC manager for Jordan. I am a FASI because I am also in the MXP steering team and I was before in the global support team of membership as a program. And Caro, now it's your turn to introduce.
Yeah, so hello, I'm Caroline. I'm TM for Singapore, and currently as well I'm working with EWA initiatives. Besides that, working with Shreya in the MXP steering team. In the past, we worked together as well for the membership products, and at the same time, I was working as OD member for TM coach for the expansions. So yeah, pretty much a lot of touch points with the people from TM, so pretty exciting. And we are actually quite happy today to talk a bit more as well about MXP with you. So Shreya, we go back for you.
Okay, so fun fact is Caro and I have been in the same team since 2 years now, I think,
Yeah, we
somehow.
started in September 2019 when
Yeah,
you
and
came.
in the same global support team since forever. So it's like we are connected now. Okay, but starting now, let's just look at how this session is going to look like. Which we will be having a small check-in and hearing from you about a small question. We'll understand recruitment persona. So we'll go from what we learned yesterday about persona design, but also build upon a little bit. Then we will understand recruitment plans. We'll understand how to introduce marketing synergy in the recruitment plan so you get the best out of that interaction. And then also we learn about platforms. So what's ATS? You will learn to you get to learn all about it. And finally, we will check out. One small expectation is to do not check the time as you are going with it. I know you might be hungry, you might be thirsty, so just keep snacks and water side on the side because this is how recruitment is going to happen, right? So just be comfortable in your spaces, and we'll finish. With utmost energy. Okay, so to start with, let's see what's the check-in question is what's a successful recruitment for you? What do you consider, like what is the point when you consider your recruitment to be successful? You can share or you can put it in the chat box, however you feel comfortable. We can have someone share, I think, like speak. uh,
Okay, so I'd like to share. So I think a successful recruitment for me is to have a proper tap over the market that we are working on and make youths believe in applying for the position of member and giving them a proper value proposition. Also something that happened last year and we could create a GCP at least for our entity was we could bring revenue from recruitment as well. So as TM also, we bring revenue sources through recruitment processes. We collaborated with colleges and bought recruitment. So I think it was quite a successful for us last time, and till now I consider that as our entry success. So I think that is what how a successful recruitment looks for me, with all the personas aligned, proper market tapping, and getting good competent members for our entity.
right. Thank you so much, Priyanka. We also have in the chat box 100%, if I'm not wrong, like if I'm seeing from the right text, there's 100% HR gap fulfilled. Uh, and then +1 to that. And then we also have accomplishing the goals and getting the right persona. A successful recruitment is one that is able to reach one of its goal, which is recruit the targeted amount of numbers, which is also the HR gap fulfilled, and having the quality targets of recruitments we have. And finally, recruitment, in my opinion, should give the brand a good image as well. That's very, very important. And then we also have from Kamran, successful brand outreach in the whole process, 100% HR gap, and as a source of revenue. Perfect. So moving forward, we will go back to the first part of it, which is recruitment persona. So while we are going through the next few slides, I want you to rethink what we went through the other day, which was yesterday, about persona design as well, and just bring a few reflections, and that we will be proceeding from this slide onward. So the question is, what is a persona and why is it important? Let's start with that question again. Simply put, what is a persona? We look at persona as a kind of person that we are eventually looking in our city or in our entity, and who we want to recruit, who is the ideal member candidate for our organization. And then also it defines in depth what a member of ISEC should look like. And according to data, like when we prepare a persona, it basically gives an insight that if we recruit this kind of persona, this is how their journey is going to look like. And this is probably going to get us the reasons on why someone stays in the organization, but also takes next step in the organization as a leader, as a team leader, or as an executive board, right? That is how, that is why we create the persona as well. And then building a persona is the first part of recruitment. I don't think we jump into recruitment without understanding what kind of member journey is going to be available for people, right? And then persona does one beautiful thing, which is it makes our attraction very easier. It gives us a template about who we are looking for, and we use that for a talent attraction in synergy with the marketing team, right? And again, when we talk about marketing, we also bring the market segmentation about understanding what on which market is the persona based, and who to recruit and who to reach out to in order to have more signups and more leads, right? Now moving forward, I created the persona. So what now? We embed the created persona into the attraction strategy. When we create a persona, when we define the demographics, when we define what kind of values we are looking, or what kind of skills we are looking, we put it to use through our attraction strategy. And we are only going to talk about attraction and not selection here, because we'll look why. Okay, so I should recruit people based on created persona. Not really. Why? Because when we create a persona, we are only going to look for those particular people who are falling under our persona to join the organization, which means it is only and only used for attraction. But in case someone who is coming to the organization, and let's say you are interviewing them and you see a potential in them, you cannot restrict them to join the organization just because they are not fitting into the persona. It's all good. You cannot reject them, because in the end, ISEC has to deliver experiences to everyone who shows a potential to be a leader, right? So when we talk about global persona, it's based on the global information, the researches that we conducted, quantitative and qualitative interviews that we took, and then the customer flow and the business model that we have for the new membership experience. It's just a global information, and it will be a chef's kiss if it works for every entity, but it's also very relevant if some entities have different personas, right? And so when we have a global persona, we are talking about the same thing for everyone. We have it for operations, marketing, IT, now talent management, and finance as well. And these are the recommendations that we have for members, but also we have for LCP and LCVP, just so that we know that who is going to be a potential candidate for certain positions. But let's say if they're not falling into it, that's also fine. Okay, we do not. Okay, let's go further. Let's come to it now. Understanding the global persona, which also brings us to the activity that we were following yesterday. The first one is we have these particular things in every persona that we have, which is the first, we understand the demographics. Where are we situated, and from where do we need people in our local committees or entity, right? What are the channels? How are we going to reach to them? What are the core values that
the core value?
Okay, I'm sorry. Is someone speaking? Okay.
Sorry, my mic would went automatically. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. No worries. So yeah, we also understand what kind of values would be good if a person has when they join the organization to make as much alignment as possible. Then we understand what kind of role and experience are we looking for. We understand what should be the life goals or that ISEC will add up to in their journey. And then finally also understand their frustration and motivation. So if you remember the template, a sample template that I showed to you yesterday, it had all these elements which make a complete global persona, right? Now, so this is how should my persona look like. It's not sure, it's not perfect, but then again, it's based on the global information, and then it went through a long series. Now, I think we started in September of 2020, and now is when we are delivering MXP, right? So till now, it was going through constant change, through constant innovation, through constant research to make it as near to perfect, but obviously nothing is perfect, and that's the idea of living. So it can change from location to location. That's why that was suggested yesterday to you as well, that if, let's say, a global persona is not fitting to your entity, feel free to make a persona for your location as well. But it's not just a random thing that you launch into the entity. So for example, if you think that the given 4 personas are not fulfilling, um, you cannot just make a persona and give it to your LCs. You need to have a very strong background for a persona. You need to make sure that the persona that you're creating has a very set foundation. Now, how to create a persona? Let's take a look by that. Now, first thing is understand how you can match the global persona with your entity requirements, which means that the 4 personas that we have, which is the person development, leadership experience, global network, and ISIC impact, these 4 personas, understand them completely and see to how can I fit this in my entity more? What changes can I make in the already given global persona to make it more suitable for my entity, right? So understand global persona. Second, now that you feel that, okay, these are the things that I might need to change, do some research, see your surveys which are happening, or launch a survey for the youth, and let yourself understand what kind of changes a persona would be needing for my entity. And third, build your entity persona, create the elements for yourself, create the needs that matches with your entity and also with the global persona in one way or the other, so that there is some alignment between all the entities, so that there is enough things to evaluate also for everyone's plate. And then fourth is hold a strategic meeting with the MCVPs and LCVPs to consolidate their inputs as well. What are they looking for also is a very important segment, because they are eventually the one who will lead the commissions, who will lead the local committees as well. And they will also help you personalize and make the persona building. Okay, so when we talk about the research, how to gather data, it's basically surveys or interviews. And I would suggest, or I think it's better when we have both of them. So what does interview give you is a very personal touch. A survey might not give you that because people are typing and people give you the inputs that are very theoretical. But when you're sitting in an interview, I will talk to you in a very personalized way, and I will tell you about my emotions, what I feel, what I am angry about, right? And so a lot of things would come out of those interviews, which are very important for a journey designing as well, right? So the first thing is do a research, and then when you are doing the research, try to find the pattern. And usually what happens when you're going through the inputs of these researches, you would find a pattern, right? You would find that there is something which is being repeated again and again, maybe in some other words. So try to find those patterns and put it, like consolidate it for your persona that you're going to make. Now, when we built the persona, we basically, first suggestion is take a look at the global persona, because they have already gone through this whole process, and adjust them to the entity need. But in case there is something else that you're looking for, understand what are the competencies and behaviors connected to all things, and how values should not change, right? And what changes are the details like age, interest, career, location, university, holiday cycles, which are also mentioned on the screen. So these are the things where you can do your changes and see what works for your entity as well. Finally, have a strategic meeting. This meeting should be held with MCVPs and LCVPs, and so you consolidate their input and also take it forward, and finally launch it with your local committees so that they can implement and recruit the right people who will ultimately have a very good ISIC experience, which is very nurturing and fulfilling based on the persona designs that we have. And the final word is, like I mentioned before, it's not always that this persona is just a guide. Only see this as a guide, right? The moment you see, or the moment you limit yourself that, okay, maybe, okay, let's say Eddie is there and I'm recruiting Eddie, and I say, this I am following these four personas in my entity, which is personal development, let's say leadership experience, global network, and ISIC impact, right? But Eddie is looking for career development specifically, right? Now, I, as a person who's recruiting, cannot deny him the pleasure of having an ISIC experience just because his needs are different right now. I would have to take into consideration a lot of things. What has been his role and experience? What is he looking for in the future, right? And if I just have an instinct that this person really needs Isaac, and you are a TM person, right? So you have an idea of how people are, right? So you will not make a bad decision because you are TM, right? So it's okay to trust your gut and recruit people in case you feel that they have a lot of potential to be a leader, and Isaac will be fulfilled, right? So yeah, that is something which is very important. Just use persona for the attraction and not the selection, not to recruit people in the organization. Okay, so this was it for a quick flashback and building upon the persona design. Clara, you can take it forward from here.
Okay, I need you to stop sharing. Thank you. Nice. Okay, so we are going now for the recruitment plan. So in this case, one of the first things that we need to remember whenever we are doing a recruitment is that any kind of product that you have, they have a value proposition, independent of, being Isaac, being Exchange, being virtual product or whatever, like all of them, they have a proposition. So it's important for us to always understand what is the value proposition. So in this case, when we are talking about it with people, they understand what are the things that they should be expecting from us, and at the same time, what are the things that they, we want to connect more in terms of receiving. So in this case, I advise anyways to always keep in mind what is our value proposition and try to always bring it in your messages and when you're creating the JDs and so on. Because if you just use the value proposition, for fluffiness and we don't really put it in the things we are doing, like we are just wasting our time and we are just creating something just because we think it's cute. So we should avoid this kind of things, of course. And then one thing important to remember as well is that now we are going to have for the recruitment, the funnel. So you guys most likely saw it before, but just clarifying again, we have the funnel, we have leads, applicant accepted, and so on. They have their conversions as well. And in this case is another thing that will be needs to be considering when we are doing all this work now, because recruitment is one of the ways to start people in the organization or start people in a leadership position. So in this case, we need to have it clear how we are going to manage them. And if you guys already saw your MC planning tool, you have the funnel there. So it's something that we are going to start working over. And it's really important for you to understand like what are the number of people that you need and do, a backwards planning. So if some of you already worked with operations, maybe easier. If you never worked with operations before, I advise to actually talk with people from operations because they most likely are used to that. But I think it's going to be something that is going to help you a lot. And for us to start understanding a little bit, what are the things that we need to do? I believe we should start by comparing what we have in terms of the get process and the new product. So in this case, what we have here is that we have a total of 20 minutes that we are going to be working with a tool here that I'm going to put the link. And this one, we are going to actually try to understand the phases that we have in the recruitments and how they connect with the get process. So you guys can clarify like what was good, what wasn't, and you can understand as well the part of the funnel that they are related with. So in this case, we put a proposition of how much time you should expend in each part. But as long as in 20 minutes you can do as much work as possible from your perspective, it's good. You guys are going to be divided in breakout rooms to work with that. We put a total of 4 groups. So I think we have enough people for that, right? Considering the number here. And pretty much, try to focus in understanding what worked, what didn't, and how all these things can connect when you're working with the funnel. And anything that comes up to your mind, don't feel like, oh my God, I don't know if this is right or wrong. we are in the process of understanding what are the things that make sense. So feel free to actually do that and brainstorm as much as you can, especially good things and bad things that happen. Cool? So I think we can go to the breakout rooms now.
I'm opening the breakout rooms, Karen.
4.
The breakout rooms are open.
Hello, people. Oops. How is everyone doing? Hope you enjoyed this space. Now we are going to continue. Let me present here the screen again. Cool. So before we move on, as usual, I just want to know from some of you, what were the main insights? What were the things that you got? And sorry, the part here of the English, but okay. So yeah, who wants to share a little bit? How was it for you? What did you got from this space? Anything that is, too weird or things made more sense? How was it?
Okay, so I like to share. So while we went through the processes, I feel like there was a lot of things that we connected to in regards to the experiences we had in ISEC itself. And we could come to some relevant things for our good and bad experience. So it was quite easy for us to connect with each other. So yes, that was the main insight.
Nice, thank you. Anyone else want to share anything that you got from the space? Okay, so in this case, I hope it was still useful. And of course, you guys will keep the access to this one. I believe it can be quite something that you can do as well when you're working with your commissions. So guarantee that, people start having more clarity in the things, because as we commented in other spaces, yes, we are having changes, but not all of these changes, they're going to change, the essence of the things that we are already doing. We are just changing the way we are working with some of them and how we have this flow. But overall, we still have the same things going on in some levels. So try to have this clarity, and people may start, feeling a little bit more connected as well. But now, what we have here is marketing synergy, because of course we have recruitment, and recruitment we have attraction. And in this case, attraction is a good part of what we need to actually be able to continue anything related with recruitment. So anyways, why do we need this synergy? Well, because we are actually better together, making it even more simple than that. So in this case, what happened is that as a synergy, the idea here is to make that wherever is working together to be much more productive when they are united. So in this case, the result should be more effective than if, for example, TM was working alone and marketing was working alone. And then as MCVP's TM, we need to ensure that we have the right HR in the entity to be able to actually perform and deliver the experiences that we promise. And for that, for sure, we need the MCVP marketing to actually support us, because pretty much like marketing should have the better strategies in how we can attract the people. But at the same time, of course, they need the information from us to be able to organize something that will make sense. So in the end, like, we really need both of us to be accountable and help each other, because it's not about TM doing their job, marketing doing their job, and by coincidence, both of them are for the same points. Like, we are working together for the same thing. So we need to have this very clear when we are working. And in this case, what to measure when we are having the synergy? First, we need to clarify the synergy part. So in this case, one of the most important things is routine. So one is frequency. If you check, for example, that we are going to have a session tomorrow, I will be talking and showing how I have my synergies with the other MCVPs. And some of them I already put to have a weekly touch points, because independent of having a lot to talk or not, I have a fixed frequency with them. And this is a way for us to always be in touch and not leave things for last minutes. Then the accountability, so the call to actions, KPIs, everything that you guys will be following up in this case, it's important for them to be aware of, because if they're not aware of what we are expecting and what is expected from us, it's going to be a little bit harder to actually understand what everyone should be doing when they should be doing. So the accountability is super important to come from both sides. And of course, we need to plan the synergies. So you can have like a structure, how they should work, or you can have an idea of what should be coming from it, but try to make it very clear how they should be going on and what is expected from these spaces, to guarantee that it's not going to be you both meeting and then that's it, but it's going to be something really fruitful for everyone. And then in terms of KPIs, for sure, don't just, say that, oh, I think our KPIs are that. Like really sit and think, okay, what are the things that we have from my side, from your sides, and what, are the things that actually connect together one way or another. And try to have that as the KPIs that, okay, so these are the ones that we should be following, because if I have these KPIs here, they are affecting yours here. Or if you have these ones, they are going to be the base for mine. So try to be sure that you have all these connections for you to understand that actually, everything is really correlated. And then, of course, accountability, it's really important that you have it. So in this case, not only, having a system, but, again, call to actions and follow up in the call to actions. Like if you say that you would have the updates about, the people to be contacted within 24 hours, and they are not being contacted after, marketing brought them. So in this case, it's like, okay, why is that not happening? Is it something that we need, to maybe put in the marketing side that's, okay, guys, maybe you are going to need to wait like 48 hours, 72 hours to actually be approached in spite of 24, like we promised before. So you need to have that very clear, how the things are going to work. And if something is not really working well, how we can move forward from that. Don't wait too much, to work over these specific details, especially when we are dealing with people that we want, to be part of the organization. Then in terms of MC and LC, it's really important to actually plan the synergies together, not only as, okay, MC, but to have that as well from the LC side. Because again, they are going to be the ones that will be working more directly. And in this case, both commissions need to be super connected. One of the things that I had, for example, when I was being MC in Georgia, is that I had actually a group on Messenger, in this case, with the TM and the marketing commission. So everyone involved in the recruitment was there. And we always had a space where first marketing was doing their sharing about what they had, and then TM was doing their sharing as well. So we tried to have it to be sure that, we could always be accountable. And if something was missing from any of the sides, everyone that was involved was aware of it. And of course, other things here. So have clarity of what are the JDs of the function, what would be the routine, trying our VPs as well, because again, not only as MC, we need to know how to do synergies, but not always the VPs on local level, they know how to do synergies. And this is something that you really need to explain to them, not only, share booklets, because yeah, been there, done that, and that doesn't help. People actually need the support and the examples in how to do it. So work together with them to guarantee that. And of course, try to have a tool or a system for accountability and a place for you guys to be in touch. So not only as, MC, but okay, maybe MC and LC together. So in this case, if you have something going on in recruitment, everyone is aware of everyone. Because the worst thing that can happen is miscommunication. Any level of noise can make, everything much worse in this case. And like we already had, for example, in Singapore, issues related with communication between marketing and OGX, because they're not working together. And this was really annoying for everyone involved and created a lot of stress that wasn't necessary. And that's the same thing that we need to avoid in TM. If you are working with marketing, be sure that you are working with marketing and not only, working and marketing is just there if you need them. Like that's not the point. And then in this case, another thing as well that's important is that, yes, TM is the final responsible, marketing is supporting, But we both have this process as a deliverable anyways, and we both are expected to work together to make that happen. So it's not something that is only TM responsibility or marketing responsibility, is everyone's responsibility. And if I actually have even to add, consider as well your MC and overall all the EBs to be responsible in the end for recruitment, because we are talking about selecting members to their organization, to their LCs. So everyone should actually, take some ownership in the process. It's just that TM and marketing, they have, more clear JDs in the process, but everyone is part of this process. So it's not only TM stuff or marketing stuff. And of course, lead by example, and don't wait your LCVPs to don't be able to do the things. Go to them, show to them, and really follow up in that, because it's something that if we don't work, it's going to create issues, and then these issues are going to generate stress, and the stress is going to waste our time and make us more, annoyed with each other. And yeah, drama is not really one of the things that I enjoy, but sadly, Isaac has a lot of it. So let's try to not be more dramatic than it's necessarily. And let me see, in terms of responsibilities, this is the main one that I want to actually follow up more with you. So one of the things that is important is to understand MC and LC responsibilities when they have synergies. So here you guys, you have some examples of marketing and TM responsibilities on MC level. So insights from university timeline for marketing, and plan the recruitment timeline for TM. So in this case, the recruitment timeline can consider the national one or local, in case, for example, each LC, they have their own. So make it clear what is this timeline. So marketing people, they are able to actually plan the attraction better. And we have as well, for example, here, the run of the online attraction campaign for marketing, while for TM, we are going to have the planning of the funnel. So understanding how many people we actually need for each of the phases to actually be able to reach our goal of recruited people. And in terms of LC level, we have succession plan and HR needed as well for TM. We have trained the recruiters for TM. We have the recruitment team training actually to be both marketing and TM, because I think one of the things that maybe people forget when we are in Isaac is just because you're not in operations or any other function, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't know about these things. So the same thing for recruitment. Everyone in recruitment should be aware of how to talk and communicate it. So guarantee that everyone understands how they should pitch and talk about Isaac. And of course, we have as well downscaling of MC attraction. So anything coming from it, marketing people need to find a way to downscale and adjust. Physical attraction when possible, if not, make it 100% virtual. And then selection and location phase being from TM side, but of course with the support of the OC, the recruitment team, TM commission, EBs, whoever is involved in the process. And then again, remembering that on local level, the final responsible for anything, again, is the VP TM, with marketing really supporting and being close by, because the results are for everyone. And yeah, it's the VP TM responsibility to really talk with marketing and guarantee that this will happen, because marketing, they have, of course, other synergies as well. So it's in TM's best interest to ensure that this synergy happens. So again, from my side, I'm the pain in the ass of the synergies in my MC. So I'm the one that is always, trying to follow up with them and be sure that I can have these spaces, even when sometimes maybe people don't know, like, okay, what we talk here. But I try to have as much clear as possible, because I believe it's important to have these touch points. Cool. Now, another thing that I believe it's important for us to talk is, okay, we have the recruitment and we have the funnel, but we have something coming up that is the ATS, that is the applicants tracking system, that is going to come to the platform. And I know that this one is something that is still a little bit in the beginning for us to understand how to work. But here is just some small alignments that I believe it's going to be important. I know some people are already going to start recruitment, so don't worry if now you can't use. But for the ones that will be able to start using this, it's going to have a space that is going to be downscaled more properly. So we are going to be able to understand more how to work with this platform and guarantee that, we are going to have the funnel working properly for everyone. So this is a very, very low quality screen that we have from the application form that we are going to have for people to actually apply for the membership. And then here is just an overview like of member leads. So pretty much everything that we see so far for people that are in operations, we see as well for the membership. The idea is, of course, pretty simple, just guaranteeing that we have this CRM and that we are going to be able to work with the leads. So yeah, again, we are going to be kind of working a little bit like operations, but for sure our focus is the membership. So if you have, again, any questions or concerns about mindsets, a few small things, you can surely always talk with people in operations, but don't forget that our difference is that we are dealing with members. So a few things for sure are going to be different from them. But anyways, keep this channel open to understand a little bit more the mentality. And yes, the platform is planned to be launched in June. So in this case, again, if you already started the recruitment before, for sure you don't need to worry for now. But the only thing you need to consider is that the members will need to be put manually in the platform once it's released. So in this case, you may need to plan how you're going to work with your HR in this case to put it, because depending on how many people you have, it may be something that is going to take a lot of time and will be quite annoying. So be prepared mentally for that and prepare people mentally for that too, because it's not much of a choice now. Maybe one day in the future, it will be easier to do that. But yeah, so consider it when you are planning as well your recruitment. And yeah, now I want to know if you guys have any specific questions. We have some good time to see that. So go for it if you have anything that you want to ask or any concern that we should be considering and moving forward. Like now is the time for recruitment talk a little bit. If you believe that you don't have nothing to ask for now, you can just wave as well in the chat so we can.
I want a suggestion. Like, what do you suggest? Like the recruitment process to be very simple, or a bit like having more steps to filter out the people?
What do you mean in this case? If you have like too many applicants, how you can have like a better filtering of the people?
That too. Like, what would you suggest? Like a recruitment process, like very simple. Like they fill up a form and go through a interview process, or we like do a personality test or like some questionnaires filled out by them, and then filter out some people, and then like do a group discussion, and then go through like interview.
It depends of the reality of the entities. Like, for example, I know that there are entities that they don't have problems in doing group assessments first, so they can start filtering people. And then after they do the assessments, they actually do the interviews. So in this case, they already filter like to have less interviews than they would need if they didn't have the group assessments. But the ones that don't have a lot of applicants, usually they do interview. And if necessary, they do the group assessments more as like a way to check how the person is. So I think you can see what actually makes more sense considering the reality, because even inside Singapore, we have one LC, for example, that they don't do group assessments because they usually don't have a lot.
Yeah, got it. And for sensing, like, do you have any recommendation on how to do and by when we should be doing the sensing?
The sensing as in
the research for a persona?
Yeah, so this one of the things that you guys can use, for example, is maybe using the empathy mapping, or one of the things that you guys can do as well is, one of the things that, okay, I can give you as an example of product design is, okay, imagine that you have like some suppositions, so things that you know for sure, things that are not so sure, and things that you would need, maybe to clarify if it actually, is something that is a problem or not. And then with based in that, actually, create some questions and talk with the members and try to understand what are the things, that are really real or not in terms of related, with the membership in recruitment. And after that, you guys can actually, create a more clear understanding of, okay, what are the pains and gains and so on from the people. So you can actually create an empathy map based in these answers. And with that, you can actually clarify what are the personas that you have inside. So I believe in this case, it can be quite helpful for you. I would totally advise to consider actually a product design research. It's, if I'm not wrong, it's called discovery. No, before discovery, actually. It's research and then discovery. So if you research this, it's actually pretty cool the way that they do this kind of working from the UX perspective. So if you guys want to, to consider some framework and way of doing it, you can for sure use that. I believe it's going to be quite useful for you to actually clarify some suppositions or not, and then have more clear what are the things from the people that you need to consider.
Thank you so much, Carolina.
No worries. Anyone else?
No, Alice had raised a hand. If you have time, you can take a question.
Okay, so
I do have one more question, just to clarify, because you know how there's like short-term, midterm, and then long-term? Like, are we gonna be implementing that anytime soon, or?
We are going to work more over this one, but if I'm going to give you maybe some idea of how I at least imagine that this one can go, imagine that, for example, people when enter in recruitments, they are most likely going to enter in the middle term. Like this is the most expected one. Because at least right now in Isaac, we don't have this kind of thing that, we select people in recruitment to enter in a short term. Like when I started in the organization, for example, it was actually common to have a project-based teams. So when I started, and I started as a coordinator, it was because in TM, they had these projects inside and they didn't have capacity building. So they already recruited people to enter in these specific roles because they needed it. But in this case, ideally, people, when they start in the organization, they start in the middle, and they will be offered opportunities for short term and long term when they happen. So for example, short term can be any OC that shows up, or any kind of, maybe not task force, because task force usually they are faster, but overall, like these are opportunities that are going to happen more like in specific moments. Like EB application, it's going to happen in a specific period of time. AMS application as well is the same thing. So these ones, they have a very set specific moments to happen in each entity that you guys can already predict when they're going to happen. Others, they depend of the planning of the EBs or MC at least for the semester. So if in this semester, you know that, oh, we're going to have 1 or 2 events, you already have an idea of when you should have the people being selected and have it in a timeline. But yeah, people when enter, at least they go already for middle, unless you guys have something that you select people directly for that.
Just adding on to that, what Karen mentioned, I think you're absolutely right. But then one thing is that in your planning tool, you have been asked to plan according to the short-term, mid-term, and the long-term opportunities as well. So what to do for that? So because that will be the immediate next question, right? Like if you're not launching it soon and stuff like that. So the thing is, what I would suggest is currently, don't look at it from a new recruitment perspective at the long-term, mid-term, and the short-term internships. Look at the current membership perspective. Map out how many opportunities you have in your organization, which is filling the criteria of short-term, mid-term, and long-term opportunities. Say, as Caroline mentioned, like how many are EB opportunities, how many are TL opportunities, how many are CC opportunities, and stuff like that. That way, you can have an idea of this is like an SND, how many short-term opportunities, openings you may have, and stuff like that. And when you do backward planning before your next recruitment, you would know how many people required and what sort of an opportunity. So first, look at this for the current membership, and implementing it for the new membership, I would suggest wait for 1 recruitment and start from the next recruitment.
Cool.
This
That was
question,
it.
Blanca.
Yeah, I do have one small question. So Carol, will the current membership be included, automatically included in the platform that will be launching in June, or like do we have to manually add them in June?
I think Prayog's face already said everything.
Yeah, it won't be automatically added. It will be like manually. So for example, like the future is still in development. To be honest, like checking at the developmental time, it should be released before IC and before by the time we legislate it. So you will get to know better. But then the idea is if they have an expa ID, then you can directly assign. If they don't, then they will have to create and then to be assigned. But at the end of the day, MCVP TMs and MCPs will have the sole authority over like what sort of a structures you can create in your entity. So for new members, you need to add. For the current members, you can still add, and if some of them already have, then you can create structures based on it. So don't worry about the platform new like this right now. Like don't worry about that. Once it is released, we'll give you all the materials you need to operate it. So yeah.
Thank you, Prayog and Carol.
No worries.
So Prayog, our recruitment timeline would be for like July 1st. So by July 1st week or second week, will be provided with all the resources.
The platform, I don't think would be. Okay, let me not comment on it because I don't know the exact development timeline. But we release as soon as possible, hopefully before IC. The idea is the first July recruitment. I would suggest you to start working on the value proposition adjustment, which Carolyn and Shreya told you today, right? How do you manage to see the personas? What sort of a personas do you need in the entity and stuff like that? Start working on those. Worry about these small platform related nuances later. But then the whole MXP change, like don't wait for it to be driven down and then start planning, because July is a bit like quick early now, right? So maybe start from the next planning, next recruitment, which is in September, October, the pocket.
Yeah.
Keep this one a short one, like a pocket, and then the next one could be a bigger one for you.
Yeah, sure, sure. Thank you.
And yeah, one thing for sure that I really advise is, for you guys to consider the mindsets of, UX design, product design, because all of these ones, they're being used for virtual products. And they are actually quite interesting in how, they are always, trying to be up to date to improve things. So if you take these mindsets and how they work with research and the creation of the personas, I believe it's going to be quite relevant for you to be able to work with that. I believe we have quite some good content in English because it's the most spread around language for this kind of knowledge. So if you guys start researching about it on LinkedIn or any other places, I believe you can find it like pretty well, and it's going to be available. For the ones from, like, I would like to say that I can share some stuff, but sadly what I have, they are, in Portuguese. So I will not be able to share for everyone that can speak Portuguese, so sorry. But at least for English, I know that there is like a lot of things, even more than in Portuguese anyway. So you guys will be able to find a lot of content about it. And I believe it will be like super helpful for you.